Alright, we're picking this up just after I actually showed you how another kind of visual way to figure out where a point is along a line is to draw a circle from the center point. So I'll just kind of repeat that just so you can see that. I'm going to erase this one out here. So we had a point here and we wanted to go 3 down. Now, drawing a line on top of another line is a bad habit. There's all kinds of different ways to do it, but if you know that you want to go 3 along a line, you just need to get the intersection of a line and a circle. So what I did was draw center radius from the shift right click, the end point here, and then I keyed in 3, and I got to that point. And the other skill I showed was that idea that you should be able to put any line in by clicking on a line and then using the @ command with, for instance, 100 angle minus 60 off of the standard position angle, and it would get you something really long. So you tend to draw really long things and then erase or trim them or fillet them or whatever you're going to do. What I did is I drew it in the last one and then I trimmed it back. Now I don't need this here. And in all reality, I can clean things up very often by using a fillet. Radius 0 is already set, so I click on the 2 things that I want. Click on these 2 things, and I'm almost to the point where this part is done. Now what I've got left is some baselines, basically some information I want for the center lines here. So I'm going to go ahead and realize that I can offset 2 down, and I can offset 1 over. And I have now here the establishment of the center of the big circle. Once again, a great idea, not a bad idea to do fillet radius 0. You don't need to do that, but now you establish kind of the 2 points there, and then left click right away, change it to center line. That gives you your circle. We draw all of our circles by draw circle. In this case, it is a diameter of 0.875. Shift right click the intersection there of 0.875. You have that established, and now you have down offset 1 down here and another 1 down there. You've established those points, and those points were established 0.5 off of the edge of the center of the circle. So offset 0.5, and again here you'll see that if you do a fillet on this one and then a fillet on another, there's all kinds of different ways to do this. So I'm going to introduce you now to the extend command, which is the opposite of the trim command. Once again, fillet radius 0 is assumed since you haven't changed it, goes there, and then the command is extend. Extend is the opposite of trim. It's EX. Screw that and extend that there. You now have a circle of a radius of a diameter of 0.375. Again, we go up to here, draw center diameter, shift right click the intersection of that, and it is a diameter of 0.375. And now you have the same circle down below, so we're going to start to get used to, if we have something that's the same as something else, we're going to left click on a point, spacebar, C for copy, and move it shift right click to the intersection. You're now almost done, and in reality, because this hole here in the middle, you really don't want it to be 2 pieces. You might actually draft the whole piece, do what we're going to do, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to offset finally 1.125, offset 1.125, do it again, O offset 1.125, select object to offset, and that establishes the center line of that, and that is a diameter of 1.125. So we're going to hit escape here, draw a center diameter, shift right click from the intersection of there, and the diameter is 1.125. Now, this next step here, we're going to leave that circle whole, though we wouldn't need to, and we're going to go ahead and actually change that once again to the center line. And we're now going to expose you to a really important concept in terms of starting to use different commands in different ways. A lot of these commands over here can be done by using the mirror command, or copy command, rotate, whatever, but your best initial way to learn, and so you develop a set of habits that's going to pay off, is to actually use that idea of grabbing a bunch of things, left clicking over a spinny point or a rotation point or a mirror point, and then using the commands, remembering to do copy. So we're going to do that. We're going to grab everything, and this time we'll grab everything and then unselect the circle. So if you remember, one thing you might know from Windows is if you go right to left and come across, I've grabbed everything. And now if I hold the shift key and go over this circle here, I'm going to deselect it. So now I've selected a set of things, and I actually might want to again deselect. I'm holding the shift key, and now I've deselected this line here. So this is this concept of building a selection set. So I've selected what I want to do it to. Now I'm going to left click over some point. It doesn't necessarily have to be the point that's going to be our final spinny point or rotation point, but it helps. Left click, and then I start spacebarring through. Spacebar, 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 spacebar. You have to remember C for copy, and then give it the second point, shift right click, maybe the end point there, and you have this part completely done. And you'll see later why, when you get into modeling, why it's a better way to do it that way than it is to kind of draft both sides of that. Many of you have already pointed out that these holes are repeating shapes, so you would have made blocks for them. We're just going to think block until we all know how to make blocks. But anytime you see a repeating shape might be due to symmetry. It might be a hole. It might be a gear. You want to think block. Finally, the last step to this is going to finally then introduce to some small, tiny thing. And that is that it really doesn't make a lot of sense to have two short little lines here when they're in fact one line. So it's not a bad idea here to erase one of these and erase one of these, and then do fillet radius 0, grab here and here, space bar, grab here and here. Now we have this all as one piece. And since we have this great ribbon up here, we're going to point you out now to some really nice command, and that is the fact that you're going to want to polyline edit these things together once you've done them. And we're going to see why. Once you've done good line work and everything else, you're going to want to polyline things together. You do that by polyline edit. And polyline edit is a lot better if you isolate a layer or you freeze a layer, the layers that you don't need. So I'm going to show you right now. This is laid out. I'm going to go up to this in this toolbar. You'll see it in the layers 2 toolbar as well. I'm going up to the ribbon here. I'm clicking on freeze, and I'm going to click on that center line layer. And then I hit an escape. And now I've got something that's a little bit easier to do this command. PE, polyline edit, which we will put on the mouse. You're going to select one line, and it asks you, do you want to turn it into a polyline? You say yes. And then you do J for join. And you don't have to grab individually around the pike. You can just window all the way across. And now finish your command with spacebar or whatever. And now when you click it, you see that you have this thing completely closed. Now you can go back to your layers toolbar and turn back on the center line, and you have the part pretty much done. Thanks for listening. That was problem 4-6.